around 300 people work together in the same direction at any time.
I'll regenerate from number 3.
Especially because of aerodynamic and tires, the key performance factors, which make the car fast in given circumstances, are constantly changing.
And because circumstances are constantly changing, it becomes essential to squeeze every last moment of development out of the new car part before it goes into production. And that's particularly true of the new front wing that Toyota hope will make such a vital difference at the Canadian Grand Prix. Only now, having gone through design, wind tunnel and track testing, can it start the process of manufacture from carbon fiber in Toyota's composite department. The use of carbon fiber has revolutionized Formula One car design. It's 4 times as light and 3 times as strong as steel, and can be more easily molded into the exotic shapes demanded by designers to create the ultimate aerodynamics package. Without carbon fiber, modern Formula One cars would look very different, and Toyota's new front wing couldn't create such a high level of downforce for the car.
We're in the clean room here at Toyota. This is basically where we laminate all the components for all the car from carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is basically a form of plastic, but a very strong plastic. This is what we make all the carbon components from. You know, basically something as flexible and as easy as that can hold the wheels on like a piece of suspension. That's what we make it from. You know, it's just like that. And basically, in simple terms, all we do is stick it together like that, put it in an autoclave, cure it, and then it's 7 times stiffer than a piece of aluminium. Yeah, in the event of a crash, that's what saves his life. This is a template of a component. This is a piece of what we call UD. UD is short for unidirectional, which basically means that the fibre all runs in one direction. So if you take a piece of suspension only needs to be strong in a certain direction, so from the monocoque to the wheel. So this will run directly down where the load path is. So in an accident in general, the wheel gets hit, the suspension goes backwards, comes off. That's not how it's designed to be used. What we do here is we make these shapes out. Each individual component can have anything from 100 different pieces to 2,000 different pieces, depending on how big they are. Then we put them on here, stick them to here. This is like a big photocopier. So basically we photocopy and scan this, and then this goes into the computer where we program the cutting machine over here.
The flexibility and strength found in carbon fiber makes it ideal for the development of Toyota's new front wing. A surprisingly complex piece of bodywork, it's constructed from a number of separately molded carbon fiber elements, each of which is fabricated independently. It's the combination of these separate elements that gives the front wing both its strength and aerodynamic force.
This is a front wing. We start off with a mould, and then we have to lay up various different layers of material, different directions to get the skin thickness. It depends on the shape of the wing as to how much we have to put in there. If it's generally a straight wing, then it won't need so much. If it's a curved wing like this one, then it will need a lot more material in to meet the requirements.
Once the front wing has been molded, it has shape but no strength. To protect the still delicate bodywork and help begin the consolidation process, where the carbon fibers are squeezed together to give them their strength, it's first packed in protective cloth before being vacuum sealed in strong plastic. The next and most vital step is that the front wing is cured or baked in the autoclave, which is basically a large oven. Back at the workshop, the moment of departure for the Canadian Grand Prix is getting even closer. Not only have both Ralf Schumacher and Jarno Trulli's cars been stripped down, examined and rebuilt, they also have to be prepared for safe transit. For every race, the entire Toyota operation has to be packed safely away and moved to different destinations all over the world in a feat of logistical planning that would daunt a small army. It's something Toyota take characteristically in their stride.
Well, I mean, in Europe, obviously, everything is done by road and by trucks, so that's relatively simple in terms of the back-to-back races. For example, now, you know, you have a lot of races which are one weekend after the other, which it does give us a bit of a headache. But in Europe, it's relatively easy. The biggest problem is obviously in the overseas races is getting everybody out there, getting everybody there in terms of flights, getting the parts there in terms of freight. So the overseas races are definitely the biggest challenge.
For all of the overseas races, it doesn't vary very much how much freight that we send out of here. It is always in the region of 41 tons totally. We take the spares for the cars, the spare engines, transmission units, the spare gears that go into the transmission. We take in excess of 1 ton of cabling to be able to bring the power in from the pits or from the generators into the garage. We're taking our generators, which we use on the start grid, and it all mounts to this 36 to 40 tons of equipment.
It's a challenge, but it's an interesting one because there's so many people involved to get it right, and you know, 99% of the time it works very, very well.
In this department, there are 20 people working. There are 6 truck driver engine mechanics that work for the race team, 6 truck driver mechanics that work for the test team, and the rest consist of people making the equipment in-house. To bear in mind that when I say a truck driver with us, he is generally a mechanic that has been driving trucks and can drive a truck very well, but has a second job at the circuit. Everybody at the circuit has a second job. For argument's sake, Marcus Berger is not only the chief truckie, he's also the man that puts the fuel in during the race. Teamwork is obviously, in this business, it is the biggest thing that you can have. If you don't have a team that works together, we won't get anywhere.
It's really down to everybody knowing what they have to do and doing it and getting on with it. I mean, you're responsible for your own part of the operation, and really the success of the operation depends on how everybody approaches that and making sure that they're responsible, they know that they have to get their part ready, because if they don't, nobody else is going to do it.
Done. Not bad. Good. Very good.
As the final crates are packed and stacked in preparation for the Canadian Grand Prix, the all-important new front wing is still making its way through David Jipp's compositing department. The varied components which make up the wing have been cut, molded and vacuum sealed and are waiting to be cured or baked in one of several massive autoclaves. At the moment, the new wing is useless.
This is an autoclave. It's a pressurized oven. This is what we use to cure the composite components, to basically set the resin and take them to the temperature, or close to the temperature that we need for when they're used on the car. It's a big pressure cooker. the autoclave bakes it and compresses it as well. We use the pressure to consolidate the material, which is where it gets strength from, and the heat is really just to set the resin hard. It's quite easy to punch in the bag. If you put a hole in the bag, then when you put the pressure on, the pressure goes into the part, and then instead of consolidating, it spreads the fibres, and then it's no good at all.
No matter what the urgency, no matter what the deadline, this is simply not a process that can be rushed. The curing on the front wing will take as long as it takes, and it's still to be cured, cooled, built, and taken through a stringent quality control process. Meanwhile, the last and most important elements of the Toyota team are being packed to begin their many thousands of miles journey to the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal, Canada. As the last of the trucks leaves the Toyota factory in Cologne, all of the team's essential equipment is safely stored and packed. But the front wing is still sitting on a workbench waiting to be completed, a world away from being ready for its racing debut.
This January, Discovery Knowledge looks at the events that shape the world we live in today.
My God, this is science gone mad.
Moments in History continues with the premiere of Dolly the First Cloned Sheep, Tuesday at 9 on Discovery Knowledge.
The Canadian Grand Prix is looming. Toyota cars and equipment are in transit, but a vital new aerodynamic component, a front wing, which Toyota hopes will supply vitally needed downforce and track performance, is still being constructed. The team, made up of mechanics, pit crew and support staff, finally leave the factory on their journey to the Canadian Grand Prix. Each season, they travel tens of thousands of miles, visiting 16 countries over 8 intensive months. It's not only the drivers who have to be dedicated to the sport to achieve success. While the team begins its journey to Canada, the crucial new front wing is finally close to completion.
Now we're in the assembly area. After we finish trim them to their final shapes and sizes, then we bond them together. After that, we will take the part to quality control, and then we will send it to the paint shop.
To ensure it meets the strict rules of Formula One and has been constructed to the exacting levels the original designers wanted, the front wing is minutely measured and compared to the original designs using a state-of-the-art probe. When it comes to Formula One, pinpoint accuracy is vital. The team has chartered a private jet to get them to Canada, allowing team members to catch a few moments quiet before the up-and-coming race. The new front wing, the front wing that is so essential to the future success of the Toyota Formula One team, is finally complete. It's taken hundreds of man-hours, a massive budget, and some of the best minds in Formula One to design, test, and build. And if it works perfectly, it will offer Toyota less than half a second's extra performance on the track. But in Formula One, that half a second is worth fighting for if a team wants to win. Canada, Montreal, home to the 9th round of the 2006 Grand Prix season. The track is constructed as the Formula One circus rolls into town. Formula One is a glamorous multi-million-pound industry, and the team and drivers are required to perform not just on the track, but off it. The constant round of smiling and autograph signing helps keep the sponsorship money flowing, money which is so quickly eaten up by the less glamorous but vitally important new car elements, like the front wing. The day of the Canadian Grand Prix dawns. As the Toyota team leave their hotel, they're all too aware that in a matter of hours, the new front wing will pay off with a result, or they could, very literally, be back to the drawing board. In 305 kilometers, Toyota will know whether all the hard work will have been worth the effort.